if you are dancing for a main company in either New York or Chicago, mostly on the East Coast, we don't really have a big company here in LA. I mean, there's Los Angeles Ballet, but I wouldn't consider it, in the same rank as New York City Ballet or American Ballet Theater. If you are dancing with those companies, there is a certain aesthetic that cannot be compromised in terms of how you look physically, the length of your legs, the length of your arms, the length of your neck. I mean, those things have to be present.
But those things don't, no matter what you eat, you can't change
You
that.
cannot change that. That's the problem, right? So then I think what went wrong is because there's only so many jobs in the ballet world. I mean, there's really so many companies, especially the good ones, and there's so many dancers, like such a huge pool of talent. I think dancers start to try to modify how they look in order to get a job. And I think that's when you get in trouble, because even if you can somehow manage to do that, I wonder how long can you sustain that. And then if it's healthy for you, if you're actually going to be happy
performing.
and still be
That's like the
performing,
thing that's
like every night, 5 days a week. I mean, I think they only
Is there
have...
still a lot of cigarette smoking? I used to see that when I lived in New York.
I see that mostly with my ballet teachers. I don't see it in
the older generation.
I don't see it, like among like the young ballerinas, like or like ballerinas my age. But I see it more like the Russian ballet teachers. They're very much into that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's also cultural. I think they really believe that smoking cigarettes, you can like not eat and just smoke cigarettes, which is...
That's crazy.
Gonna grow some lumps. More lumps. Don't do that. Not suggested.
Now, a lot of people they go vegan because they think they'll lose weight. I mean, we've seen that. They don't necessarily stick
People
to
use
it.
it as a diet, not a lifestyle.
Do you find that your followers, do they ask you a lot of questions about that?
Right. Unfortunately, it's kind of like a negative trend, and I hate to say that it's giving vegan like a bad rep. I think you have to go vegan for the right reasons. You have to really understand why you're going vegan, and not just some cosmetic like reason, because when it doesn't happen, then you just give it up completely.
It's not sustaining that
and
way.
and it's very hard to convince those people to become vegan again, because they wanted to do it to lose weight, and they instead gain weight because they're eating vegan junk food and vegan processed food. And then it's very hard to convince them that no, this is actually healthy for you. Because they would come back to you and say, well, but I gained weight since I became vegan.
And you'll have people say that to you.
Oh, yeah. We have messages from, 12, 13-year-olds, like, dancers, young dancers. Oh, I tried to become vegan for, 2 weeks and I gained weight. I said, what do you eat? And it's like vegan meat, vegan, like everything is in a can, everything is processed. What about salad? What about raw food? They will never touch that. I mean, especially when you're like under, you're a teen. I mean, they don't think that kind of food is cool. Like the raw salad.
When they go out with their friends or something. Yeah.
Right. So it's I think
How do you guide them?
So usually what we do is I have a team of like assistants that they put together like meal preps, and okay, so instead of eating this, like, why don't you try eating this for like a week and see how you feel after that.
Okay.
And it's a very hard thing to sell. I mean, especially if they've already tried it and then they gain weight, or they said that they started feeling very tired, or, oh, now my doctor said that I don't get vitamin Bs, and like, there's so many.
Well, they need to take a B12 supplement for sure.
Which is very easy to
Even
solve.
meat eaters,
I mean,
right.
it's a very easy thing to solve.
Yeah.
It's in the health system. I actually think that the American healthcare system wants to keep us sick instead of healthy.
Well, Dotsie and I were talking earlier today about how if you're starting eating vegan and then something happens, like you feel tired one morning, you immediately blame the fact that you're vegan and not the fact that you went to bed at midnight.
Exactly.
So
and you've already been vegan for 3 days. So it's not even long enough to like...
Or you have the sniffles and you're like, oh my gosh, it must be the vegan. I gotta go
I
back.
think we talked about that in our interview at the SoCal Veg Fest. Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like... But yeah, there's a lot of misconception about veganism, especially among like ballet professionals. I think it's still a very tricky thing to sell. I hate to say that. I mean, for people who are over 20, I think it's easier because they're in charge of their life. They're in charge of what they eat. But I think the target should be before you eat, like you hit 18. I think that's going to be the future generation of dancers.
Yeah.
And that's very, very tricky. And then you're dealing with parents who think that you're, telling a bunch of lies to their kids.
Making them unhealthy.
Most of those accounts are parent monitored because they're so young. So, so
Right.
they would actually see our meal like recommendation and would have like 200 questions about it. Like, what is this? This is not making any sense. You're actually, this is not healthy. This is not a healthy diet for my child. It's a
What's
very
the most
tricky thing.
heart-wrenching thing that you've gotten on Instagram from like I would assume it would be a young person, but maybe who knows, right? Like,
We get a lot of DMs, like messages. We got one from this one girl in Colombia, like maybe a year ago, who was suicidal and actually almost
dear.
killed herself. And basically said, "Oh, I looked at your Instagram today and found a reason to sort of go on," which a lot of people thought were like, "Wow, that's like amazing." But I feel so sad whenever I hear
It
that.
is amazing. Well, tell us about what your Instagram is, what kind of messaging you're putting through and how you curate it.
I think my main message on Instagram is sustainability and just living a mindful life, from the way what you eat, what you put on your body, what you surround yourself with, whether it's like the furniture in my house are all sustainable and ethically made. There's no piece of furniture with leather in it. So I just want to make sure that everything is vegan. And not only that, I want to make sure that whoever made it was paid fairly. So I think fair trade certification is very important to me. Making sure that, just the sustainability of it, because there's so much consumption going on out there, not just with food, but with fashion and everything. And it's just so damaging to our environment. So that's my primary message. If you really want to buy something, you should ask yourself, do you need it? Are you going to use it at least 30 times? And if it's a no, you don't need it.
Hey, folks. Okay. Back by very popular demand is our plant-powered plate fridge magnet, which you are going to receive for free if you leave us a rating and a review on whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on. So here are the details. Just write your quick review. Does not need to be long, does not need to be a whole story. Just be honest and speak from the heart. Then take a quick screenshot of the review you wrote and email it to us at podcast@switchforgood.org. That's podcast@switchforgood.org. And include your mailing address so we can send you a power plate. We are doing this because the more reviews we garner, the higher we go in search results, which means more folks will learn about our podcast. So the power is in your hands. Leave us a review and zoom, your power plate arrives at your doorstep.
So thank you so much for tuning in today. If we helped you in any way, then click the subscribe button and let's keep hanging out together. We have so much more to share with you.
And if you need more information on actually making the switch for good, please visit us at switchforgood.org for loads of info. And you can subscribe to our mailing list where you will receive all sorts of super cool gifts, discount codes to our very fave dairy-free products, and a lifetime of powerful health tips.
So join us on the journey to switch for good. This is the future.